Hey friends, what's up? Phillip here with Points of Phillip, and today we're going to compare the new Bilt 2.0 Palladium card, the top dog in Bilt's new ecosystem, against the Venture X. And that's the card that everyone else is kind of comparing it to, but I want to kind of go deep level into the nitty-gritty between the two cards and figure out which one is actually best for me, and then which one might actually be best for you. Before we do that, though, I want to ask you guys to like and subscribe. And also, there's a link in the description below to sign up for my weekly newsletter. In that newsletter, I show you the latest news that's going on in the credit card points and miles space. That way you can keep up to date with everything that's going on. And I also give you some of the best credit card offers that are showing up on Amex, Chase, and Capital One. So if you want to sign up for that, go ahead and do that. Now, let's get into the actual video and talk about the Venture X and the Bilt Palladium card. So in order, basically, we're going to have to go through basically the top level kind of ecosystem differences between the two cards. That way you can kind of get a sense for what's actually going on. So for the Palladium card, basically, that's going to be the highest annual fee card that they offer. That right, basically that's going to be $495 every single year that you had the card, and so that's actually open for people to apply to right now at $495 for the year. But for that annual fee, you do get a sign-up bonus. It's actually kind of compelling, but maybe not as compelling as other cards, and we're going to get into that too. So the Palladium card here has a sign-up bonus of 50,000 Bilt points plus gold status for the year after you spend $4,000 on everyday purchases in the first 3 months. And so basically that kind of singles out no mortgage spending, no rent spending, but you do get 50,000 Bilt points plus gold status, which actually will help you when it comes time to some of those transfer bonuses if they continue past, into the new year. In addition to that, you do get $300 of this Bilt cash upon approval. So that actually becomes deposited into your Bilt cash account once you become approved for the card. So then every purchase other than rent and mortgage, you earn 4% of that Bilt cash per dollar. And then you also earn 2x points on everything else. So every everyday spend earns 2x everything. So this can be really strong. So this can really kind of compare to a catch-all card like the Venture X, and that's part of why everyone's kind of comparing it. So we're going to get into that too. This one also earns you 1x back on rent and mortgage, but you do have to use Bilt Cash to kind of unlock those points, and you can kind of do that on a sliding scale, it looks like. So it could be an interesting card. Now, in addition to that, when you go into the Bilt Neighborhood Partners, this card also earns 4x back at points at partner restaurants, 4x back at partner fitness studios, which there aren't really that many of them, and then 4x back on Lyft rides and 3x back at Walgreens purchases. Then there's also a host of annual credits as well. This one has $200 of Bilt Cash, and that's annually. And then up to $100 actually rolls up into the next year. So you don't actually have to use it all in the first year. In addition to that, you do get $400 in hotel Bilt credits, and that's $200 statement credits twice a year. And so that's for qualifying Bilt travel portal hotel bookings. And so that has to be through the hotel portal. But if you do take all this at face value, in year one, you get 50,000 points plus you get $600 in annual Bilt cash plus the $300. You get $900 in Bilt cash plus 50,000 Bilt points on top of everything else. And so this actually, it seems like a really great card. Now, we're going to have to get into whether or not this actually becomes kind of our travel card. Because one thing that you don't actually notice is, well, it doesn't have any travel multiplier. So if I'm actually trying to book a trip overseas, right, I am actually getting 2x on that purchase, where I could get something much, much higher if I used literally any other card. Just a $95 annual fee card like the City Strata Premier will get me 3x back on hotels and airfare. The Chase Sapphire Reserve card gets me 4x back, and that is a little bit more expensive, to be fair, but that 4x kind of makes a big difference when you're actually coming to actually make those purchases. Now, in addition to this, you also get Priority Pass, but in order to actually share your Priority Pass, you do actually have to get an authorized user fee of $95. Now, that is less than some authorized user fees at other cards, so we're going to talk about that as well. And so that actually might be helpful. If all you're looking for is a cheaper way to get Priority Pass for you and your family, this might work actually out a little bit better than the Venture X card. We'll talk about that in a minute too. Now, you do also get cellular wireless telephone protection, as well as some travel things, some master rental coverage. We're going to talk about all of that in just a little bit as well. So that's kind of the Bilt Palladium card. On paper, you're up $900 plus 50,000 Bilt points as soon as you actually hit apply for that card and you get approved. So let's take a look at the VentureX card then and see how this actually compares. So the VentureX card is $395. And so that's actually cheaper, which already really, really solid. The VentureX is cheaper than the Bilt Palladium card, which is nice. Now, this one actually has some interesting earnings. So first of all, before we even get into earnings, though, I want to get into the sign-up bonus. So the sign-up bonus for, again, the Bilt Palladium card was 50,000 points plus $300 in that Bilt cash plus the gold status, right? This sign-up bonus is kind of the standard sign-up bonus at 75,000 points or miles after you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months. So similar spend, similar time frame, but much, much more miles. And so that actually can kind of be helpful. Now, my wife and I recently got this card when it had that all-time high 100,000 point offer, and that was definitely worth doing, right? 100,000 points, I definitely would rather take that than 50,000 points plus $300. But at 75,000 miles, it kind of becomes an equation of how easy is it to use that Bilt cash. And so that's kind of where we've got to go with it. Now, this card actually has a $300 annual travel credit. And this was actually a little bit easier than the hotel credit with the Bilt card. And basically, as long as you actually buy something on Capital One Travel, you get that credit. And so Capital One Travel actually can include cruises, can include rental cars, can include hotels, airfare, the whole 9 yards. That's $300. And all you have to do is use it through the portal. And so this is actually really, really solid. So in fact, I actually already have used my annual travel credits, despite the fact that I haven't even had the card for a full month yet. And so basically my wife and I were going to Williamsburg this summer. And we were staying in a kind of a townhome place at a Hilton Grand Vacation property. And basically we had booked it for $450 with Hilton directly. But that same room we were able to find in the Capital One portal for about $425, and it had similar kind of refundable rates, right? So it's saying that it was refundable up to a certain date, so about a week out from when we actually would be staying there. And so I was kind of definitely fine with doing that. Now I'm not going to earn any kind of Hilton points for this, most likely. And so that's kind of a bummer, but for the $300 off of that $425 purchase, I'm really happy about that particular purchase. So that it definitely has already been used. Really great, easy way to get value. Now, this actually has something that the other Bilt card, or the Bilt card, doesn't have either. And that's, well, global entry and TSA PreCheck. And so this is a receive up to $120 credit for global entry or TSA PreCheck. And it does seem like that's actually one per account. So it doesn't look like your authorized users actually get that. So that's kind of important to note. Now, again, if you've had a different experience, please let me know in the comment section below. I would love to be wrong about that, honestly. Now, the anniversary bonus too is 10,000 points or 10,000 miles. You get that after you've held the card for essentially 1 year. And so basically this 10,000 points, a lot of people like to value it at $100 and say that this card pays you $5 to actually hold it. Now, that's a little bit less than the $900 you get in cash from the Bilt card. And so we're going to have to figure that out too. That could be maybe a big plus for the Bilt card, but actually would kind of be the only Bilt plus or plus for the Bilt card that we've seen so far because, well, although the Bilt card costs more, right, you get less out of the sign-up bonus. And so we're already seeing, some strengths of the VentureX. So in addition to that, though, let's get into the multiplier. So the VentureX here, you get 10x back on hotels and rental cars booked through Capital One Travel. And so because I used that Capital One Travel that purchase for basically, through the hotels, I was able to get 10x back on that. And so, that's actually pretty nice. Now, you get 5x back on flights and vacation rentals booked through Capital One Travel. And of course, again, this is only through the portal. And if you want to do any other kind of purchase, that's going to be 2x back on every single thing. And so basically, if you're looking for something that's going to give you higher travel multipliers, then the VentureX so far is there because it's not giving you those multipliers on the Bilt portal. It's just kind of basically giving you those credits that you get to use too. And so that's actually really solid. But so basically on its face, if we just take a look at the top line view, we're seeing that, at least it seems like to me, the VentureX could be earning out. And the reason why is because when I'm playing this premium travel card game, I'm okay with playing with the credits. I'm okay with kind of trying to make the spreadsheets work as long as there's a reason for playing the game. With the Venture X card, I am still getting that 2X, which I did get on my Venture card. But in addition to that, I do have access to the Capital One Lounge, and two of which we actually have the capacity to use at least once per year. And so having access to those lounges is nice, and having access to that travel credit is nice. And so if I am going to get a 2X card, if I am going to pay an annual fee for it, I'd rather do the one that costs me actually less money in the long term after using the credits, and also gives me the lounge access. Now, the important kind of caveat here with the Venture X is that Capital One is in the process of kind of changing the Priority Pass and the Capital One Lounge access for these cards. So if you are the primary card holder, you're still going to have access to the lounges. But if you are an authorized user, you're going to actually have to pay $125 per person in order to unlock that lounge access. But again, that's access to the Priority Pass lounge system in addition to the Capital One lounge system, which there aren't really that many Capital One lounges, but the ones that are there are actually really worth dealing with, and they're kind of good at managing the waiting line. You can actually get in line before you actually get to the place. So like as soon as you land, you can check to see how the wait list is working for your Capital One lounge, and then kind of get into that system in advance. And so that's really solid. You're still waiting for everyone to get up, and all of a sudden remember that they actually have to grab their bags before they leave the airplane, and then you have to go through the transit system and all that. And by the time you actually get to where the lounge is, well, then you might be okay. So that's also solid. Compare that to the Bilt Palladium card, right? So the Bilt Palladium card, again, only comes with Priority Pass, right? So it doesn't have any special access to any other lounge networks. Now, when Southwest actually opens up their lounge network, now they've just announced it, so they're trying to work those deals. So in the next 2 to 3 years, when those lounges start coming online, it is possible that Bilt would be in the running to have access to those lounges, because Southwest is a transfer partner of Bilt, although they also are of Chase as well. And so it will be interesting to see who actually gets access to those lounges, if anybody, right? Now, so basically, when it comes to the sheer number of lounges, Capital One wins, but when it comes to the cost of adding in additional users who get lounge access, maybe the Bilt Palladium wins because it is a little bit cheaper, but you don't get as much lounge access. And so that's just kind of an important thing to think through and figure out what works best for you. Now, we're going to talk about next a couple of different travel protections, because again, when you're paying this much money for a card, like a premium travel card, you expect it to actually work for you in a meaningful way. So we're going to take a look at the Capital One Venture card when it comes to the rental car protection, right? So this is the Capital One Venture X is a Visa Infinite card, and that means that you get some really, really solid protections. For the Capital One Venture X, this is actually going to be primary rental car protections for collision damage waiver. So this is any damage to the actual physical car will come as a primary coverage, whether or not you're renting in the United States or overseas. And so that's going to be really solid. More importantly, though, the travel protections on the Venture X hit up to $75,000 worth of value. So if you're getting upgraded to a nicer car, or maybe if you are already you're paying for the nicer car, you're going to have more of a headroom in actually covering that damage. So even if the car is totaled, chances are you actually won't even hit your main insurance, at least for the collision damage waiver part of that claim. And so this is actually really nice. So when you compare that to the Bilt Palladium card, first of all, none of the coverage, even at the World Legend category, so the highest tier category for that $495 annual fee, isn't primary. It's only secondary, which means that basically you will actually have to file a claim with your insurance agency, and then they will pick up whatever your insurance agency doesn't cover. And so essentially, basically, there are no stated limits, but also there's really no reason for there to be a limit. So basically, that's important to note, right? So if you're someone who is regularly renting cars and you're worried about getting those damage claims, the Venture X card is going to be a lot better for you. Now, if we take a look at lost or damaged baggage coverage for the Venture X card, basically you can receive up to $3,000 per passenger to cover the difference between what the airline pays you and the value of your claim. So $3,000 per passenger for lost or damaged luggage. Now, if we take a look at the Bilt Palladium card, well, they don't actually have any lost and damaged baggage claim ideas. They just have baggage delay. And so again, score a huge one for the Venture X. And so that's actually going to be really, really important to note. We're going to talk about next the biggie, and I think in order to actually prevent this video from going too long, we're just going to focus on these three levels of coverage. We're going to take a look at trip cancellation and interruption coverage. With the VentureX card, basically, if you pay with a VentureX Rewards credit card, you can be reimbursed up to $2,000 per person for any non-refundable airline, bus, train, or ferry tickets if your trip is canceled or cut short for an eligible reason. Now, the eligible reasons are the death, injury, or illness of you or an immediate family member, or the financial insolvency of the common carrier resulting in default. And so it's a little limited, but it does get $2,000 per person for trip cancellation and interruption coverage. The maximum benefit for the Bilt Palladium card is $2,000 per covered trip and $5,000 per eligible account per 12 consecutive month period. And so it's going to be $2,000 per total trip, whereas the VentureX was $2,000 per person, and there really wasn't a yearly cap. So that's interesting too, because and another important thing to note about the Bilt protections is that coverage is secondary to and in excess of any other applicable insurance or benefits available to the traveler. And so again, this is secondary and not nearly as high as the level of coverage would suggest. Now, the other thing that would actually change this is kind of whether or not this actually triggered a little bit more. So the covered losses under this policy with the Bilt card include trip cancellations or trip interruptions that result from accidental bodily injury or loss of life or sickness of either the eligible traveler, traveling companion, or a family member of the eligible traveler or traveling companion. So this actually is actually more restricted in this fashion as well. So this actually doesn't cover you if the airline just goes out of business, whereas the VentureX coverage does. And so that's also another important thing. Like the Bilt Palladium card, despite the fact that it's $495, despite the fact that it gives you priority pass access, this card is not a travel card. It's not a premium travel card at all. It doesn't give you good travel protections. It doesn't take care of you or people on your itinerary as well as other premium travel card protections or travel cards do. And it also it just doesn't, you don't earn at all. And so it's not that much of a travel protection card. So if you are actually someone who's going to be traveling, who expects those kind of trip protections, who expects to be able to actually get into good lounges in a better way, then the VentureX card is by far going to be the best option for you and your family, despite the fact that you actually probably will pay a little bit more to actually get them into those lounges as authorized users. But the fact remains that, basically I would rather pay a little bit more for better access and better protections for my family members than to pay a little bit less and not be protected at all. And so basically I just wanted to kind of compare those two cards because I know a lot of people are going to be talking about them, but head to head, the VentureX card is going to win out in my opinion. Anyway, let me know in the comment section below what you think. Am I right? Am I completely crazy? Let me know. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys again later.